Joining us today is Peter Strachan, independent analyst, who will be speaking at SEAAOC, Southeast Asia Australia Offshore Conference, on the 22nd to 24th of September 2010 in Darwin. Hello Peter, thanks for joining us.
Hello.
Firstly, can you start by letting me know your overall thoughts on the current state of the global LNG market?
Yeah, the LNG market had a bit of a tough 2009, and certainly in the Asia-Pacific region there was new supply coming on out of Qatar and a fall in demand out of the traditional Asian customers. So generally there was the first time ever in the history of the LNG markets that LNG supply actually retreated. And so we're seeing that turning around globally. The Asian market's still quite weak, but globally there's been some sort of a recovery in demand as industrial production begins to rise, and I would say that it'll probably take another 2 or 3 years before the market is back to the sort of strength that we saw in sort of 2005, 2006.
And how's Australia competing with its international LNG competitors?
Australia has been doing very well. There's still new supply coming out of projects at Pluto, which starts up end of this year, early next year, and new projects that are on the books like Wheatstone, Browse, Ichthys. A couple of the projects over in the coal seam gas area have put in place offtake agreements or memorandums of an understanding for sale of gas. Of course, Gorgon, which is now full steam ahead, has fully sold its production. So these new projects that are coming along are sequentially being able to put in place offtake agreements. And of course, the existing producers from the North West Shelf and from Darwin have been going steadily ahead.
Do you think that recently developed unconventional gas sources such as CSG and shale gas will impact on Australian LNG exports?
Yeah, Australian LNG exports will expand via the projects that I mentioned before, and one or other, or maybe two of the projects in the Queensland side will also get up. And but I think they'll have to really stand in line, and they really won't be able to commence. Or they'll go through all their technical studies, but the final investment decision won't be made until they have firm contracts for sale in place at a price which makes sense for those projects. So it may well be with the unconventional projects over on the East Coast that they will take longer to get into the market than they hope. But certainly unconventional sources of gas globally, out of shale and out of coal seam gas in China and in North America, is having a big impact on the global scene for natural gas. And this has been it's only come to light in the last 5 years just how significant these supplies of gas are going to be in the future. And I think supply of gas from coal seam gas and from shales in the United States, for instance, has meant that North American market won't really be a substantial market for liquefied natural gas probably for another 10 years or so, whereas 5 years ago most people were expecting that by 2015 America would be a large and expanding market for liquefied natural gas.
What are your predictions for Australia's LNG industry over the next 12 months?
Over the short term, we'll continue to see Pluto moving ahead towards its first cargo. Pluto 2, which is the second train there, will more than likely get a start, and it really depends on Woodside being able to secure sufficient gas to get that Pluto 2 up and running. At the moment, they've got the drill bit running hot, looking for additional gas, and they're obviously talking to partners such as Hess as a way of securing additional supplies for a second train. Over on the east coast of Australia. We've got the proponents at Gladstone. Those will move ahead. I wouldn't be surprised if within 12 months those projects have not actually gone to a final investment decision. So I think we'll have to wait longer than 12 months to see those projects move forward. Browse has about a 2-year time frame before its final investment decision, and so really a lot will depend on how the markets in Asia mature over the next 12 months to see whether Browse can put in place at least initial memorandums of understanding for the offtake of gas from that project. So it's really going to be over the next 12 months focusing on the startup of Pluto, on the continued development at Gorgon, and on the studies and marketing efforts of the Gladstone proponents with their coal seam gas.
You're speaking at IIR's SEAAOC conference on the 22nd to 24th of September 2010 in Darwin. What will you be addressing in your presentation?
Well, what I want to do is to sort of counterintuitively to really look at the longer-term picture for petroleum products generally, and it's oil and gas. And it's my contention that we are living through the peak of oil production right now, and that by 2012 it will be quite apparent that no matter how much money and time and effort and people you throw at trying to produce more oil, you won't be able to do it. And following from 2012, oil production globally will begin to decline, and whilst gas production globally will continue to rise, probably for another 10 years beyond that, it too will peak at some point. And so we need to adapt to a world which is going to be shorter of these liquid hydrocarbons and either use them more efficiently or find some sort of alternative sources of supply. And also what I will be looking at the moment is what's going on domestically in Australia, who's doing what to whom corporately, what's likely to happen at the project level and at the company level, and whether there will be any additional sort of rationalisation in the liquefied natural gas industry as we go forward.
And finally, what do you hope that delegates will gain from attending SEAAOC?
Well, I mean, I think Darwin's a great place for this conference. It's an emerging city in the Southeast Asian region, really. Even though it's part of Australia, it's very much linked into the Asian region, so it's a great place to go. It's changed its character dramatically over the last 20 years, and certainly even over the last 5 years. It's a much more vibrant, younger city. It's not the sort of Canberra North that it used to be, with so many public servants, but there's lots of private industry there now. I think really the conference itself will focus people's attention on latest technologies for floating production, whether that's for oil or for actually floating liquefied natural gas, as Shell is proposing at Prelude and Sunrise. And also we'll hear from some of the experts on what's going on in on the ground on the markets. Some of the customers, the gas customers, will be able to say from their point of view what they're thinking about their demand for natural gas going forward. So there's usually some very good speakers there, and I'm always look forward to hearing what's going to happen in the region for natural gas. And also there may even be some talk about what's going on in the Northern Territory for additional supplies, whether we can look to use some of that gas for additional power plants there, for fertilisers, for chemicals, and transforming that gas domestically as well into other value-adding products.
Peter Strachan, many thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure.